Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh man, it's, what did they say? Beginning to look a lot like Christmas? Holy cow.
It is. Yeah, we're actually finally getting snow that's sticking.
We
I'm
are.
starting to wonder.
I know it. Yeah. And there was a huge wreck just down the road from us. We were hearing all of these sirens, and I was like, oh God, something's going down. Yeah. 2 vehicles slid and collided, and one of them started on fire, and luckily they said no casualties, but holy shit. Yeah. But when we really start to get snow, people just forget what it's like to drive on winter roads. It always, every year.
Every time. Yep.
You have a few scary days. So, anyway, yeah, it's wild out there.
Everybody forgets you got to drive a lot slower and stop a lot earlier and not cram on your brakes and not do anything quick when there's snow on the road. But yeah, agreed. Well, Tom in the chat says he's already over winter. And I feel like ours just barely started. But I hear you, Tom. I hear you. I'm kind of sick of being cold already too.
Yeah.
Well, Katie, I know before we get started, you have a video to share because, as you all know, we had our cookie day on Saturday. That was so much fun. And boy, we had everything turned out really good this year. We didn't have any fails at all, which was great.
Yeah. I mean, mostly, yeah. Our only real fail this year were the oranges that I practiced. And they still turned out okay. I almost failed them, and yep, Kristi investigated them and convinced me they were fine. They were just crispier than I went more into hard crack with the candy than I meant to. But anyway, it was fine. Everything was fine. But I will say, we do this video every year and share it on our socials. And the girls this year decided to yell inappropriate shit. And so it turned out a little wild.
Went
but
rogue during this video. So
this is what fatigue and wine does, because this was like 8 hours of cookie making. But
yeah.
Anyway, so that might explain some of the hysteria in this video, but here you go. Okay, Cookie Day 2024 is in the books.
Yippee!
So these are peanut butter whiskey cheesecake balls, dark chocolate peppermint crunch cookies, Nutella puffs, peanut butter cups, candied chocolate oranges, pistachio chocolate chunk cookies.
Hey, Mom. Nutsack.
Oreo truffles, chocolate dipped pretzels, Grinch tits, Christmas tree cake pops,
Oh, my God.
and moose farts.
Sharks.
That's Cookie Day. Yes.
Well, sorry about that.
Yes. Grinch tits. That's what she called those cookies. Indeed. I'm not even making that up.
That's what they look like, too.
Yeah.
Well, we did have fun, as you could tell.
We did. Absolutely. And we delivered our last 2 boxes of cookies today, so all of our deliveries are done, and the box we brought home is also nearly gone, so we're about done. Well, I sent most of ours home to Boise with the kids, but yeah. So that's what happened. Yeah.
My peanut butter whiskey cheesecake balls, you guys. Well, they turned out awesome. Let's just say that. If you are a peanut butter whiskey fan, oh my God, those are good.
Even if you're not. My God, those were good.
Yeah, you might still like them. I will say that we made them way too big. They're supposed to be like a 1-bite thing. They're like a 4-bite thing. Next time, they'll be smaller. But
They have a full shot in them. That's what I'm saying. They were really good.
not quite, but they turned out really good. Everything was really good, and your Nutella puffs turned out so much better than
Yes, much better than the practice run. Yep. That's because nobody tried to decorate them because they learned their lesson the first time that they don't know how to decorate cookies. So now we know.
I mean, they are delicious and they also look great. So yeah, it was really a lot of fun. And those pistachio chocolate chip cookies that our sister
good
Kara
Lord.
made, oh my goodness, those are good.
Those were really good with a cup of coffee. Really good.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So we had a lot
Grinch
of fun.
tits
and
as
we got
well.
that all
Great
done.
with coffee.
Yes, they're very good.
Yeah.
I know everything turned out so good. The peanut butter cups, Maddie's Christmas tree cake pops are so freaking cute, and they're very good.
Cute. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Well, I have spent the better part of today in the glass room trying to finish up a couple Christmas projects. So I'm getting there. Yeah.
I shipped off everything I had that had every order that I had that hadn't shipped yet, shipped today. So everything
Nice.
is out there, and all of it will be there before Christmas. So
Awesome.
that felt like a good thing to do. I don't know, maybe it's just because of what's going on in the world, but I've been printing a bunch of these for Christmas presents. I figure
Just to match
we may
those
as well-
drones.
we may as well get prepared, friends. I've been printing some aliens. These are really funny. I
Those
love
feet.
this. I love this alien. I know, with the big feet. It's the same designer as my Bigfoot. My Bigfoot and my abominable snowman, and they all have these big feet. I just think they're hilarious.
Yeah, they are. That's so funny. And now they're Hill Air Force Base outside of Salt Lake City is now reporting that they're seeing the drones.
Oh, there was one filmed in Meridian, Idaho, just a few days ago,
No.
and that's the town where Katie's kids live.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're here. They're here. I mean, guys, we live 50 miles from a nuclear reactor. So
Right. I
they're
keep
here.
saying, surely they're here, right? They probably came.
They are,
from
but
here.
the nuclear reactor we live near to is, well, it's very heavily guarded and has great big swaths of property around it that's fenced off. And it's way out in the desert. So, I mean, you'd have to be intentionally going out there or have to live out there somewhere near to know, because it's not anywhere near any real populated anything.
No, but if you go out there and you, like, for example, my husband's uncle one time was just arrowhead hunting out in there and just stepped right over the border onto the land that is owned by the INL, and he had a helicopter on him in no time.
I
Like,
don't
they take
doubt
it
it.
very seriously. The security out there is something. Yeah.
There is this one road where you turn one way to go where you're going and the other way to go onto the INL.
Mhm.
And it's very confusing. And I have turned onto and headed down toward the Idaho National Lab
Oh God.
several times.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, like, there's a sign and then there's like a gate. And so, you know, you just get turned around real quick and keep on trucking. But I always get confused by it. Several times I have done that, driving somewhere else. But yeah, I've been thinking that, like, if we were to go drive out there at night, I'll bet you that
You're seeing them out there.
that they're out there. I'll bet you.
Yeah.
Because
I bet that's true. Yeah.
they're around all the nuclear sites as well as the military sites. What do we think they are, Tammy? I think the
government
drones.
knows.
Yeah, I do too. I think the drones are probably ours. But there are some
me
other
too.
things people are filming. Those plasmoids, those balls of energy. I think that might be our drones trying to figure out those drones.
Oh.
Those things. They're not drones. We don't know what they are. People are referring to them as plasmoids, which is...
A scientific term.
It is a scientific
It
term.
isn't.
Kind of. Well, it kind of is. It's an orb. People are
Yeah.
calling it a plasma orb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the
That's
drones
what Sandy
are ours.
says too.
I
She
think
thinks,
they're. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those orbs are something that we're not so sure about. Yes, Sandy. Yes, your order. You're excited to get your order. Well, good, because it was one of the ones that went out today.
Interesting. So and Tammy, I will have more hearts after Christmas back on my Etsy. I pulled them off of Etsy because I've talked a little bit about my little daycare kid who's now a grown woman, Caitlin, who was murdered a few months ago. And
Yes.
I had sent a package of hearts to her memorial, to her mom, and I pretty much sent everything I had. So I had a few things, but I pulled them off of Etsy because I didn't want to get confused. And honestly, they're so like individual that you can't really repeat them. I mean, you could, I guess, if you really tried hard. But anyway, so I just pulled my hearts down because most of them I sent away to her memorial to be given to friends and family and stuff. So I will have more. Yeah, after Christmas is over. So yeah, I promise they'll be there for Valentine's Day for sure. Yeah. They are strange
Good to
times,
know.
Kathy. I'm with you. This is all
It
wild
is.
stuff.
I mean, if this is the unveiling of, aliens, let's just get it over with.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just ready. Just let us know. Most of us have a pretty good idea that this is already a thing. Just let us know. Get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But in the meantime, there's plenty of true crime going on.
Yes.
So, Katie is going to update the Mark Bent trial for
I'm ready,
us.
actually.
Are you? Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go ahead and start with that. Because we
Yeah.
introduced the Mark Bent trial last week on Thursday. So let's hear what's gone on since then.
Yeah. So actually, Thursday, we didn't report what was going on Thursday because, the day wasn't done. So I'm going to actually start with Thursday. I'll update Thursday, Friday, and tell you what happened today. So Thursday was day 4, and on this day, this is when prosecutors showed the video footage from Mark Bent's car. He had a dash cam. So
He filmed the murder?
I don't know. They didn't show the murder in court, but they did show him, at least according to local News 8. They're saying that they had footage though that did update or back up the timeline that was alleged. So they show his car leaving his home in Pocatello and driving to Idaho Falls late in the afternoon on September 3rd, 2022. He circles around Best Buy for a while and then moves on to Clairview Lane and parks one car behind Nik Bird's car. And then they cut to later in the night. So I don't know if his dash cam showed the murder or not.
Okay. That's weird, Best Buy, because Best Buy is on the opposite side of town from where Nik Bird lived.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder what he was doing over there.
that's a good question. So later in the video, they see his car leaving Clairview Lane, and you can see a body lying in the street from the web or the video or car cam. His car passes 4 police cars, an ambulance, and a fire truck, that are coming because there's been a 911 call because there's been a murder that he did, and he just drives away. Then later they show dash cam of him pulling into the Albertsons parking lot on 17th Street. We know this is the place where he, posted on Facebook and then called the police and told them that he'd done that, and they came and arrested him. So that's what happened on Thursday. On Friday, this fool got on the stand.
I mean, following in the footsteps of the great Robert Tellis and the insane Sarah Boone? What?
I mean, he looks
the
a little
fuck?
like Robert Tellis, just a little more of a big job, and he would be Robert Tellis. But yes, so he actually took the stand. I'm not going to show it because it's long and also it's nonsense. So I'm not
And
going
he doesn't
to.
need any more attention. This
No.
dick.
Just no. But I will tell you a little bit about what he said. So, and this is, of course, a little different than what he said when he turned himself in the night that he did this. So he says, so he talks a little bit about his past. We know that he was born and raised in Seattle. He was an automotive tech for 20 years. He came to Idaho Falls in February 2021 for a job at UPS. In 2021, he starts going to car meets, and that's where he finds the Facebook page, the Castaways Car Club, which was, the car club that Nik Bird was in. And that's where he finds Bird. Nik Bird was the founder of the Castaways Club. And so they met at a car club. So he kind of starts hanging out with these kids. And, from their perspective, they had said he was creepy and they weren't a big fan of him coming around. He says that he left the club because they were younger and wild and that they were participating in illegal street racing and getting tickets. And he said one member who he didn't name was allegedly a fugitive from another state. So he says that in June he decided that he needed to leave the club because he didn't want to get in trouble and lose his job over hanging out with these kids. Not the story they tell, but, this is his testimony. So this is what he's saying. So a few days after, so he says that he messaged Nik and told him that he wanted to leave the club because of the illegal activities. And that a few days after he left the club, he was removed from the Facebook group. Well, I mean, if you leave the group, don't you leave the group? I don't know.
Right.
Crazy. So then he confronts Nik and wants to know why he was removed. And he said that Nik told him that somebody said that Mark Bent was an undercover police officer, which he denied. He says it wasn't peaceful or anything. There was some back and forth arguing. Again, there's not a lot of evidence that this is true. These are just things he's saying, just to reiterate that. He said that they were just throwing accusations at him that he was an undercover cop. And he says he contacted police in June or July to report threats and being doxxed online. According to the car club kids, he was making threats and kind of harassing people. He says they were harassing him. Again, this is a lot of kind of petty bickery online stuff, but it sounds like that most of this is pretty unfounded. These are just things he's saying. So, at any rate...
Well, nothing ever happened in person. Like, this was just some online shit.
Yeah, nothing ever happened in person. So, supposedly, at any rate, he felt like they were doxing him and harassing him online. He also, however, throughout the course of this testimony, does say that he and Nik Bird hadn't spoken in several months at the time that he murdered Nik.
Man.
It's
That's
unhinged.
so scary.
So here's what he says happened. He says, he said one time he was driving on East Sunnyside and someone posted it online and he felt like that was jeopardizing his safety, so he called the police. It was that kind of stuff. So here's what he says. He bought a house in Pocatello in 2022. He says he was concerned about car people finding out where he lived, so he had to move to a different town. Which he was very paranoid. And he even says so. I mean, he says at the time he was drinking a lot. He was smoking a lot of weed. He says he was generally not in a good headspace, taking a lot of antidepressants, but drinking with them. So he had depression, anxiety, paranoia. I think that's what it boils down to, is that he was super paranoid.
Yeah. So, I mean, he moved 50 miles away.
Yeah.
These kids weren't going to go to Pocatello to bother him. It's not like it's the next town over. It's a ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think he was fabricating a lot of this harassment, that it really wasn't happening. He was just extremely paranoid because he was experiencing substance abuse. So he says when he bought the new house, he bought a camera system, put up a Ring doorbell, and indoor cameras to protect him from people in the car group. I mean, that's how paranoid. But when he was asked about it, he said no one had ever threatened him or tried to approach him in person.
Yeah. So it was all happening up here.
So I don't know if you remember, but in the Facebook post, he says that he knew that if the day came that he lost his job, he would know that was when he needed to kill Nik Bird.
Yes.
So he says on the stand that he quit UPS because other people were quitting too and the workload was too high and he didn't want to work there anymore. So he didn't lose his job because of Nik Bird or anybody. He quit his job.
He quit his job.
Yeah. So he says on the day of the shooting, he woke up at a friend's house and they decided to go look for off-road trails to ride on. When they got back, he went back to Pocatello, stopped at a liquor store and bought a 750 ml bottle of Jaeger, went and got food at Wendy's, went home around 4 or 5, ate, put the alcohol in a bottle with a Rockstar energy drink, and drove to Idaho Falls between 6:30 and 7. So dude's drinking a Jaeger bomb while he's driving.
On an 80-mile-an-hour freeway between
Yeah.
Pocatello and Idaho Falls.
And we know that he
Jackass.
had a weed pen in his truck with him. I don't know if he was using it at the time, but we know he had one with him. So here's what he says. He says that he was just driving around and ended up in Nik's neighborhood. Just ended up there. He said he was still drinking alcohol at this point.
So he was on the east side of town at Best Buy. And then we're just driving around and ended up all the way over on the west side of town on Nik Street.
Just ended up there.
Shit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
He says he parked his truck, a car behind Nik's car, finished his drink, looked on his phone to see what was going on Facebook, then got out of his truck, walked around, eventually broke out Nik's passenger side mirror on his car. He said I was angry at him. He threatened me. He looked up my address. He posted my address on the internet. He posted where I worked and where I lived on national Facebook pages with thousands of members. There doesn't seem to be any proof of that at all. But that's what he
did
said.
he?
Did he? Also,
National Facebook groups. What does that
Right.
even mean?
good question. Yeah. So, and again, not a reason to kill somebody, even if he did.
No.
Not a reason to
And
kill
if they're
somebody.
if they actually had proof that he had done that, wouldn't they have brought that in?
Right. And again, we weren't in the courtroom, but from what we've heard from people in the courtroom, there really wasn't any evidence of that was brought forward. But again, like it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. But
No, but it could have been mitigating in some way.
yeah, and maybe
But-
some stuff like that'll come up later on. We'll find out.
In sentencing, maybe? I don't know.
So he says he continues walking around and eventually sees Nik come out and come get in his car. He says Nik starts his car and goes to leave and then notices the broken mirror. So he says he got out and pulled his phone out and took a picture of it. See, this is where it is. He broke that that mirror knowing that he would get out of the car and examine that so that he could shoot
That
him.
was his opportunity.
That's pretty clear. Yeah.
Seems like premeditation, doesn't it?
It sure does. So he says he got out, pulled out his phone, took a picture of it. He says he was standing on the passenger side of my truck when I saw him. I didn't do anything at first. I didn't really know what to think or do. When he was posting, he had his phone up and typing something. I don't know what that means. I guess after he took a picture of it. It reminded me of everything that was going on social media. The threats, the harassment, slander, and rumors, and something just took me over. He said at that point he drew his gun, and now he doesn't remember anything. He just blacked out. Uh-huh.
He remembers drawing his gun.
Sure, Jan.
And then doesn't remember what he did with it. My ass. Give
I'm
me a
sure
break.
that's true. He also had 4 magazines in that truck. 4. Every magazine holds 17 rounds. He showed up there with that much firepower, but he wasn't planning anything and wasn't going to do anything. He didn't know what he was going to do. He was just driving around, guys. He was just driving around.
Accidentally drove up to Nik's house that is in a residential area far away from where he was at Best Buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So he says his next memory is seeing Nik on the ground, getting in his truck and driving away. That's when he sent his parents a Facebook message and called his father. He says he admitted to typing the Facebook message that we've all seen. He said, in the state of mind I was in, I wanted to address the threat, but I didn't have a plan or a when or a how. So I just wrote, if it did happen, I could tell my parents. Oh, for God's sake. Jesus Christ, Mark.
Sure.
No
you
one
forgot
can believe this stupid shit.
And he only blacked out while he was firing the gun, and he remembers everything before and everything after. Yeah, okay, sure.
It's just one of those moments, man. He just
Can you imagine what the
blacked
jury
out.
is thinking about this asshole?
They're probably thinking it's 2 weeks before Christmas and we're sitting here doing this stupid shit. Why? Yeah. So he asked if he intended to kill Nik Bird. He hesitated and said, not necessarily kill him. I just wanted to retaliate in response to everything that happened. The everything that happened was, first of all, many months before this. And second of all, seems to be, to me, very conflated in his head versus what actually happened. But also, when he made a police report of someone doxing him, it wasn't even Nik. It wasn't even Nik.
No.
Nik just happened to be the leader of the car club that had had more contact with this fool. These kids rejected him because they didn't like him, because he's weird and creepy, and he couldn't handle that. Yeah.
Well, and he said right in his Facebook admission that when he lost his job, he knew it was time to kill Nik Bird. Yeah, you did intend to kill Nik Bird, you jackass.
Yeah. Yes. So, he told his attorney or the prosecutor that his plan on September 3rd when he came to Idaho Falls was just to hang out with friends, but he didn't actually reach out to anyone about hanging out that night. Listen, you don't drive from Pocatello clear to Idaho Falls unless you have plans.
Right.
Like, that just doesn't even track to me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a 45-minute drive with good weather.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't come this far north unless you had something in mind.
So, he was asked about the fact that he actually did enter a guilty plea and then rescinded it, which we know happened. He said it's because he hadn't received all of the discovery and that he had no faith in his previous attorney, who was John Thomas, that he could defend him at trial. He said, I asked him to put in a motion for a conflict for counsel a few months before because he wasn't putting any effort into defending me. I reached out to a couple private attorneys, and a lot of them were either too expensive or there was a conflict of interest. So I kind of gave up and went with his suggestion of pleading guilty. But then,
maybe because you created all this evidence against yourself. What was John Thomas going to do to defend you?
Yeah. How do you defend that, Mark? How?
Yeah. You confessed all over the place, dude.
He was asked by his attorney if he would have changed any of his actions, and he said, yes, I would have gotten help. I would have gotten involved in the church and probably Alcoholics Anonymous. Well, definitely Alcoholics Anonymous, Mark. My God.
Right.
So, at any rate, that's what happened on Friday. And it's so maddening and it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating for Nik's friends and family that were in the courtroom. Having to listen to this shit and listen to this fool on the stand saying this stuff as if there was any justification at all for what he did.
No.
So this morning...
Not in the least.
Yeah. So this morning there were closing arguments. Neither one of them took the super long time. Again, this was kind of a Sarah Boone case, pretty open and shut. And they sent it to the jury. The jury was out for 2 hours. They came back about an hour ago with a guilty verdict on first-degree murder. So we're going to see sentencing in February, and it is over. So, Mark, jail then hell for you.
Right.
Nik Bird did not deserve to die. He didn't need to die. This was based solely on substance abuse and on his own issues and fixating on Nik Bird. That's
and just
what
his
I've
own
got.
Fucked up ego. That he thought he had some right to go after Nik Bird. Like, my God.
He couldn't be rejected. I really think at the end of the day that's what this was about. He could not be rejected and told no. He couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Somebody said he sounds like a really fragile person. I think so. Emotionally very fragile.
Absolutely. Well, we
Very
also know
weak-minded.
that while he's throwing out all of this, that they were doxing me, this and that, he was threatening people right and left and saying a lot of weird, creepy shit to people. And Like, it would be cool because, apparently he's entitled to do that, but if someone else does it to him, then they get shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the jury certainly made the right decision.
Yeah,
This man needs
2
to go
hours.
away
I'm sure the
forever.
jury was just like, "Kah, let's go."
How long does it take to fill out this piece of paper? Right,
Yeah. So.
But I'm grateful for our community that this guy
Yes.
is going to go away forever because we don't need this man around. It's
Absolutely.
terrible that we've lost one person, but over time, if he were still out, I'm honestly kind of surprised this is the first murder he's committed.
Me too. Because he clearly doesn't have any kind of control of himself. And, yeah.
When we don't know what his criminal record is in Washington, because it's really hard to... Washington doesn't give up
Some
that
states
info
are-
very easily.
Yeah. Some states it's really easy to get people's criminal info, and in others it's not as easy. But
But I'll
however,
bet you
that'll probably
he's got
come
a
up in
record.
mitigation. Yeah, or
It
at
probably will.
sentencing.
I'll bet you he's got a record. He's got to.
How
could this be
he was
his
driving
first
for
crime?
UPS. I think you have to have a pretty clean record to drive for UPS. Or well, I don't know if he was driving. Actually, scratch that. Was he
We don't
driving for
know.
UPS, or maybe he was working in one of their warehouses? Yeah,
Right, could have been.
That may not mean anything.
Also,
Yeah.
states are not great about communicating. I mean, he had just moved from Washington to Idaho. Had things not, he could have had a record in Washington and maybe they didn't even know.
Yeah. We're talking about the trial of Mark Bent, Jess. It's a local who murdered a kid that was friends with my son in high school. So it's one that we've kept a really close eye on. A kid who's actually been in my home before many years ago. Yeah, I wrestled with him. It's just a sad one. Just such an unnecessary. I mean, they're all unnecessary, but in this case, it's just so senseless and stupid.
Yeah.
But anyway, so all the love to Nik Bird's family and his friends and
Yeah.
everyone who's been
Absolutely.
affected by this. It's just terrible.
Well,
Yeah.
we wanted to highlight it because Nik Bird's memory deserves to be remembered. And this he deserves justice for what's happened to him.
Absolutely.
And we all need to remember Mark Bent's name because this is a person that should never be out on the street again.
Nope.
The dude is a psychopath.
Yes, he is. Well, high fives to the jury. That was certainly the right decision, and it didn't take him any time to make it. When you actually bundle all of the evidence up and hand it to the police the day you do it, I mean,
And then insist on going to trial as though there were and mad at John Thomas for not having a defense for him. What the hell did he think the defense was going to be?
I can't imagine. What? Me too. That's all. And
What, aliens posted that on his Facebook? And it was AI who called 911, and it was AI who spoke to his parents. Like, come on, man.
Right.
He confessed everywhere.
Right. Well, I wonder if he really wanted him to drag up more of the supposed threats and whatnot and trot those all into court as if those would in some way be a defense. Newsflash, Mark, they're not.
They're
They're
not, and
not.
it just makes you look worse.
Somebody saying something mean to you on the internet is absolutely not justification for murdering somebody. Ever.
Sure isn't.
And most, maybe that'll come up in mitigation, but again, most defense attorneys aren't going to drag that shit out in court because it just looks stupid.
Yeah, it just makes you look worse.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Yeah, this has just been a real sucky one. Yeah.
Yes. And you're right, Jess. It does depend on what kind of background check UPS would do anyway, if they do one. If it were a state one versus a federal,
That's a
it's
good
true.
point.
Like, I had to have federal when I was a social worker, but not everybody needs that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yikes.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Well,
there you go.
Thank you, Katie, for that. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the family and friends of Nik Bird that it's over.
Yeah, me too. Except for
Okay.
sentencing, but that's not till
Except for
February
sentencing, but I mean, it's a first-degree murder charge. I mean, he's going away for a long time.
ever. Yeah.
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 So,
The death sentence was not on the table for this case, in case you're wondering. So
no. Yeah. So
this will be life
life
in prison.
definitely is. Okay. Well, something's going on in Columbus, Ohio. You guys, there is a scary situation that has occurred. On this past Saturday, 3 women were found murdered in a house. a friend was walking by the house, noticed that the door was open, went in to see what was going on, to find her three women shot and killed.
Oh, no.
Terrible. All by
Yeah.
itself, right? But let me tell you about the man that was arrested on Saturday for the murder of a man a few days prior who lived in the same house.
What?
Yeah, this
no.
is scary. And, police are saying this is a very complicated situation, which it obviously is. Plus, it's a crime scene of a triple homicide, and so it's taking them a while to get through everything. But a man named Daryl Hambrick, who lived in this house where these women were murdered, was found shot last week on Tuesday. He was taken to the hospital, and on Wednesday he passed away.
Oh.
So let me show you. This is him right here. So this is the first victim. So his name again is Daryl Hambrick. And then on Saturday, okay, so, and I haven't seen the exact timeline of this because there's a lot of this that hasn't been released yet, but sometime on Saturday, which was the same day that the women were found shot and killed in this man's house, he was not killed in his house, he was killed on the street very nearby.
Oh.
But on the same day that these women were found murdered in this house, this man right here, this is Hakeem Graham, was arrested for the murder of Daryl Hambrick. Arrested the same day that those three women were found shot in that man's house. So there's lots of questions now about did he kill all four of them? Are they connected? I mean, what are the odds that they're not connected?
Sure.
Right, good question, Bethy. Did the women witness something? Did they know something about him, right?
How long had the women been deceased?
Well, that specific information has not quite been released yet, and that is my question. What is the crossover time here between the time that they arrested Graham and that these women were killed? So they have now identified them. Just earlier today, Sierra Muse, 34, Dawn Clover, 49, and Tiffany Parrish, 36. But they, he was arrested the same day that they were killed. There was a warrant out for his arrest that went out like the day before Friday or something. He said that this house was kind of known for there being problems, and that there had been issues. Neighbors had had issues with people who were living in that house. He said there was constant traffic in and out of the house, which, could indicate drug dealing or some kind of illegal activity happening in the home. We don't know if those three women lived there or if they were visiting there, or what their connection was to the first victim.
Oh, jeez.
Daryl Hambrick. Daryl Hambrick was 45, and these women were all in their late 30s to mid 40s. So seems like they could have been related to one another, or at least friends, knew each other. Sure. A friend that had been with them Friday night is actually who found them. And she said that the night before she had been there at the house with them. And she said that they were doing each other's hair and makeup and looking at sorting through clothes and various things, and just said that they were, like having a lot of fun. And then the next day, she, I think, lived nearby. She's walking by the house and notices the front door is open, goes in and finds the bodies of these women.
Jesus.
People in the community have been afraid to speak to the news because they are afraid that this might be connected to the other murder, and they're just not really sure what the hell is going on here.
Sure.
The police are calling this a very complicated crime scene and complicated situation, so they're not releasing a lot of information, but it is. I would be very worried if I lived in this community.
Yeah.
About what in the hell is going on, you know?
Four dead bodies within a couple of days, or a few days within a stone's throw of each other. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, not a lot being released yet, but I felt like this was one we ought to cover. Kind of keep an eye on what's going on. If anybody lives in Columbus, Ohio, we'd love to hear from you if you have heard anything about this.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary, and the idea that this person may have killed all 4 of these people, that is terrifying.
But if one person killed all 4 of those people, why is that a complicated situation? That
Right.
seems pretty
and that's the part I
straightforward
don't
to me.
understand. The police are implying that there's more going on here, so maybe not. I don't know. We do know that all 3 women died of gunshot wounds, and so did the first victim. Everyone in this situation was shot. We don't know if it was the same gun. We don't know a lot of things yet. But I would say that it is super scary for this community and wondering what the hell's going on. You know, one of the neighbors said, you know, they've been trying to get some help for what's been going on in that house for a while and not really getting anywhere, because they've been concerned that there were potentially illegal activities going on there, that it might be bringing some danger to their neighborhood.
Sure.
And they're hoping, you know, maybe now something will be done about that. But Jesus, I mean, are there any people left that live in that house that are still living?
Yeah, good question. Good question. I hope
Just
there weren't
as I
any
think
children
Ohio
living in that
allows
house.
access, right? Jess said, I think Ohio allows access to some of their stuff on their criminal cases, but I can't remember how much. We will look into it. He has now, he was arraigned this morning. Hakeem Graham was. So I'm hoping maybe we'll be able to find something on him. But all we know for sure is that he has been charged with the first murder. I don't know. It just really caught my eye. Like, what the hell is going on in Columbus, Ohio? Holy shit. That is scary.
Super scary. Wow.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye
Well,
on this. Anybody who lives in
yeah.
Columbus, feel free to message us. We would love any inside info that you might have, or just insight into this community. I don't know, but
For sure.
it worries me when, you know, multiple murders start going down in the same community. That is scary. Thank you, Jess. That would
Thank
be
you,
much
Jess.
appreciated if you take
Yeah.
a look. You always, you know, have the inside info, and that's awesome.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Well, wow.
Right? Oh, wow.
And it seems like a dumb thing to say, but it always comes up for me still. Like, this close to Christmas,
Yeah.
and these women, did they have kids?
Right.
Did
It sounds
a
like
bunch
they
of
did.
children
That
lose their
Some of
mamas?
them did have children.
Yeah.
One of them had just recently become a grandmother, the oldest one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's a really sad time of year
Yeah. It
for
is.
this kind of stuff to happen. So all the love to the
Absolutely.
families of these women and to this community. And hopefully the
Yeah.
police are going to get this under control immediately before there is any more loss of life.
Yep. Yeah, Kaylin's just saying Hannah Kobayashi is back in the U.S. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, she is.
She's got a
Well,
long
Hannah.
road to hoe herself. Yeah.
She certainly does. She certainly
And
does.
her poor family, my God.
Well, today's Monday. We will be back tomorrow, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Mountain with another episode. And Wednesday case updates at 6 p.m. Mountain. And after case updates, it is the watch party this week. I don't know what we're watching, but we're watching something. And
I
we'll
will tell
keep
you
posted
tomorrow.
on that. There you go. We will let you know tomorrow. But yeah,
Yes.
we got lots of stuff coming on. Of course, this week we'll be here all week. And then the next couple, we'll see what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get our schedule figured out. Yeah.
Yes, we are, because, holy shit, Christmas is next week and New Year's is the week after. What?
I know.
I've been so busy focusing on the aliens that I kind of forgot what time of year it is. I mean, it's just gone by quickly.
It really has.
It's crazy. But we will have lots more for you. And Katie, thank you for that update on the Mark Bent Nik Bird murder trial.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Very
Good news
glad
for
to hear.
everyone.
They said it would take 2 weeks, and I'm like, there's no way in hell. I'm so glad it didn't, and it's done. Yeah.
No. I mean, that would imply that he was going to present an actual defense other than just getting on the stand and lying his dumb ass off.
And whining.
Which-
Yeah.
Yeah. Yuck. Ugh. Bye forever, Mark Bent. That's what you get.
Sucks to suck.
Alrighty. Well, you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. We are still making songs over on Buy Me a Coffee for people. If you haven't done that yet and you want to, we have had so much fun with this.
We have had
really
some
been cool.
bangers.
We really have. And we will be, sharing some of those after the holiday. If people give us permission, then we're going to be sharing them with you because they're really a lot of fun.
Oh
It'll
my
be
gosh.
worth listening to.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So you can check that out over on truecrimesquad.com. If you go to Buy Me a Coffee in the shop on Buy Me a Coffee, that's where the link is. If you still want a song, we could still get her done. So check that out. And you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.